Tori and Nick. If you have your Bibles, look in the book of Luke, chapter 18, the book of Luke, chapter 18. And if you don't have it, that's fine. The words will be on the screen when we get there, but you can just kind of find that and put your finger there. I'm going to need to make a confession today. I love instructions. Like, I like instructions. As a firstborn, I'm a natural born rule follower and people pleaser, and so following instructions just kind of scratches my itch. Like, I'm not the guy that gets the dollhouse for his little kid and throws the instructions away and then tries to figure it out on my own. No, I'm the guy, you know, when you buy a piece of furniture or something like the dollhouse for your kid, and on the front it says, please read instructions fully before you begin to assemble, right? I'm that guy. Like, I follow that actual instruction, and I read the entire instruction book before I start to put things together. Typically, I'm not saying every time, but almost every time, because I love them. I read instructions on everything. I read the instructions on a bar of soap. I read the instructions on a bottle. I'm not joking. On a bottle of shampoo, you know, wash, rinse, repeat. It never says to stop repeating though, so I got lots of shampoo. Packaged foods, electronics, light bulbs, tags on clothing, warning tags on hair dryers. You know you're not supposed to put those in the sink. That's pretty important. My grandfather's wife actually used to write the warning labels and instructions for a pharmaceutical company. So if you get a prescription from the doctor, she wrote all that. Everything that's in there, she wrote all that. Like, coolest job ever. I love that job. Assembling instructions are my absolute favorite, though. When a product is really well designed and the instructions are well written, I find that pretty impressive because someone engineered that. Someone came up with a way to mass produce this product, and they came up with the instructions and all the parts for it, and then they had to write it down. And that is really something impressive. Not only that, they had to come up with the machinery to make the product that you did, so it's easy. And every, however many products they sell, 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 products, all put together the exact same way. I find that absolutely mind-blowing. Needless to say, that the most disappointing, unsatisfying instructions that I've ever seen are IKEA instructions. There are no words for our IKEA instructions. They're just vague pictures and this guy. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to. He talks in pictures. How do you do that? How do you talk? It's not a thought bubble. It's a talk bubble. And there's instructions there. And most of the time you end up looking like this guy if you're trying to put together something IKEA. There he is, the frustrated IKEA. Like, they tell you in the instructions through pictures that you will hate this process. Like, they don't even try to hide it. IKEA is just messing with you. Like, yeah, you'll never figure this out. They're like, yeah, we're totally messing. The guy doesn't even look Swedish. I don't even know. I think IKEA is just trying to throw some shade at the Norwegians or something like that. But I like instructions because of how practical they are. Does anyone like practical things in their life? Sure. Like, I'm sure I love a good, debate, like this out there cosmetological, I just made up that word. That's not even a word. Cosmological, theological, doctrinal, whatever. I love these big debates. Like, it's fun to talk about that stuff. But I love things that are really practical. Like when someone says, Eric, you could do this today, and something would happen. Like, these are the steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Now, the hard part about life is really a lot of practical things aren't that practical. Things aren't so cut and dry. Our lives aren't cookie cutter, where they say, the old saying is, kids don't come with an instruction booklet, right? Like, you have kids, there's lots of great parenting books out there. And you can always learn from just about any of them. But there's no one parenting book that says, you do this, I guarantee this will happen. You do X, you get Y. You do Y, you get Z. And, it just doesn't work that way because we're not robots. And life isn't uniform everywhere we go. But instructions do, when they're practical, they help you know where you're going. They help you know exactly where you stand. So, how would you like some very practical instructions today? Anyone up for that? Anyone up? how would you like practical instructions on how to be successful in your prayer life? Anyone ever think, man, I would like to pray. I would like for God to hear my prayers, and I would like for God to answer my prayers. You may be like, no, I don't care. You may be like, no, I don't believe in God. You may be like, no, I don't believe in prayer, that it does anything. But we do. Shocker, spoiler, we're a church, so we do believe that God hears our prayers, and we do believe that He answers our prayers. But I think that it's hard for most of us to actually pray, to actually be serious about prayer, other than, oh no, something really bad is going to happen, please stop it from happening, God. Like we all have those prayers. Even if you're an atheist, at some point you're like, oh God, please help me, right? And you're like, I never believed in you, but hey, I'm desperate, so whatever. We all have those prayers. But I'm talking like a consistent prayer life where we are in communication, in a relationship with the God of the universe. And we know that our prayers are being heard, and we can start to see how our prayers are being answered. Because I think a lot of times we don't even recognize that our prayers are in fact being answered. So I'm going to go through a list here. And these come from Paul Miller's book, A Praying Life. This is really simple. Most are, even though it comes from the book, most are based on biblical examples. So we're going to go through these rather quickly. So if you have a pen and paper or notes on your phone or something like that, you might want to get those out to jot these down if you really care about this stuff. If you don't care, then don't write it down. It's fine. And this will be online later if you want to come back and watch it. I don't know why you want to watch it again, but you might want to. So here we go. You ready? Here's the first thing. First practical step to have a successful prayer life. Number one, get alone. Get alone. Yeah, that's good. It's up there. Get alone. We talked about this a few weeks ago. We talked about how we should come to God as helpless, in a helpless way. And Jesus kind of modeled this for us. But Mark 1:35 says this. It says, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he, talking about Jesus, got up, went out, and made his way to a deserted place. And there he was praying. And Luke 5:16 says, yet he often withdrew to deserted places and prayed. All right, so get alone. Get alone. That's number one. That's pretty simple, right? Like, just be alone. Number two, go to bed. Go to bed. Here's the thing. Jesus got up early in the morning to pray. Now, you don't have to only pray in the morning, so don't hear me saying that. But I find there's something special about taking the time to start your day with God. To take your time focusing on God, petitioning God. What's the Lord's Prayer say? Give us this day our daily bread. It's kind of late at the end of the day to pray that prayer, isn't it? Right? So to ask God to be with you and to provide for the day. Say, oh God, I'm hungry today. I forgot to ask for my daily bread, and it's midnight already. So you got to go to bed first. If you want to get up early, you got to go to bed at a decent time. Because no one's getting up early to pray if they stayed up to 1 o'clock in the morning. Like if you're binge watching something on Netflix, you're not getting up to pray. And it may sound like a simple thing, but it's true. Like, at some point in your life, you have to decide what's important. And here's the thing. It's funny. When we take our prayers, our emergency prayers to God, the ones that like, well, I haven't talked to you in forever, God, but this is really bad. I need your help. Like those are last minute, last second, desperation, literal Hail Marys, right? Toward God, like, hey, we're just shooting for the end zone here, hoping we get a touchdown. But we're never serious about prayer on the front end. And when you stay up binge watching something on Netflix, you're saying, hey God, I know that I say that this is important when I pray for it, but it's really not. Watching Netflix is more important. So whatever I'm praying, asking you for, I'm really not that serious about to begin with, because I'm not even willing to get up and talk to you about it. Does that make sense? Anyone smell what I'm stepping in? So go to bed. Third one is get up. Get up. So they're kind of connected there, but while praying in your bed is fine, that should not be the only place you pray. Like, you can lay in bed and pray. And I've done it. Like, I'm guilty. Like, I'm like, oh, man, I'm awake. I want to talk to God, but I really don't feel like getting out of bed. It's awful warm in here. My eyeballs are awful happy. Awful happy. They're awful heavy. They might be happy too. I don't know. My eyelids are awful heavy, and and man, I just don't want to get, because once you get out of bed, what happens? You have to face your day, right? Like life starts. Whatever it is that you don't feel like doing, if it's a job you don't like, if you have to make breakfast for the kids and that's a chore, whatever it is, whatever battle you're facing in your life, when you get up out of bed, then boom, the battle's getting ready to start. And so a lot of times we don't do that, but you got to get up and get out of bed. Mark 1:35, again, it says, very early in the morning while it's still dark, he, being Jesus, got up. Jesus actually got up. Now, you don't have to try to go crazy. You don't have to get up like 2 hours early the first time you try to do this. You don't even have to get up an hour early the first time you try to do this. Maybe it's 5 or 10 minutes early that you're going to get up, so you have 5 or 10 minutes extra to spend with God in prayer. So get up. Get alone, get to bed, get up. Fourth one, get awake. Get awake. This isn't going to happen if you stayed up all night before. You may need to help yourself get awake. Like, some people love coffee. I don't understand those people, but I know that they exist. And so sometimes you just can't function if you don't have your coffee. Like, there's a million memes out there and coffee mugs. Don't talk to me until I've had my cup of coffee, or whatever. I'm a horrible person until I have a cup of coffee, or I'm just a horrible person, or I don't know, whatever it says. But there's all these things. So if you need coffee, man, go ahead and make your cup of coffee and drink your cup of coffee first. For me, it's a shower. Like, I need to get showered to wake me up and just feel like I'm ready to go, and my mind's attentive, I'm alert, stuff like that. Whatever it is, whatever it takes to get you out of your slumber, do something that wakes yourself up. Some of you may just be able to pop out of bed and be like, you're happy to squirrel and you're ready to go and full of energy. So that's great. I'm happy for you, man. That's really good. So get alone, get to bed, get up, get awake, get a quiet place. Get a quiet place. Look, Mark 1:35 again. Very early in the morning, while it's still dark, he got up, went out, and made his way to a deserted place. And there he was praying. I got a dad joke for you. What was Jesus' favorite type of food? It was dessert, because he liked deserted places. I thought of that this morning. Yes. Thank you, Ben. He appreciates it.
You had too much coffee.
I had no coffee. So here's the deal. If I go to my living room, my house is 3 floors high, but there's a bunch of us that live there, right? So it's 3 stories high. The living room's on the first floor, and it's kind of all open. Some of you have been to my house. It's all open, kitchen, living room, all together. So it's kind of like the nerve center of the home. So if I go to my living room to pray, eventually there's going to be other people there, right? So if there's other people there, guess what? I'm distracted by whatever they're doing. And guess what else? They won't leave me alone. Like, if I'm there in the living room, even if I'm praying, even if I said, hey, just so you know, I'm not trying to ignore you, I'm just trying to pray, guess what they're going to do? They're going to forget that I'm praying. They're going to start asking me questions. They're going to start asking me to help them with this or that, or tell me what form I need to sign for school, or let me know what they want in their lunch or what they want for breakfast. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Yeah. So all that stuff, we are busy people. And so when you are praying, you need to find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, where you won't be disturbed. Just that kind of goes along with getting alone, but getting quiet. There's not much noise, not lots of things to distract you. Let me just give you something. Like, this is a really cool feature. I just found this out on the phone. If you have an iPhone, I don't know if you know it has this feature or not, but there's a little button right here on the side. And if you push this button and hold it, wait, what happens? Hold on. There are little things, and you just slide that, you swipe to the right, and it turns off the power of your phone. Did you know that you can actually turn off your phone?
Wow.
And then no texts, no calls, you can't get on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you can't get on Tinder, you can't get on any of it. You can't watch Netflix, you can't watch YouTube. It's all just off, and it's there. And so when we need to get to a quiet place, it's not just a place where we're not going to be disturbed. It's not just a place where there's literal silence, but we need a place where our minds and our hearts and our souls can be quiet before God. And I found that this is the loudest thing in my life oftentimes, if I'm going to be really honest. I'm not saying cell phones are bad or stuff's bad, but I'm just saying it makes a lot of noise because it constantly distracts us and we constantly want to give it our attention. It's okay if it's turned off for 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever it is, wherever you are, whatever spot you're at in your prayer life. The next thing is get comfortable. Get comfortable. Look, you don't kind of get quiet, not being distracted. Listen, you don't want to be distracted by being in an uncomfortable chair. And the whole time you're thinking, man, this is really uncomfortable. Or an uncomfortable posture. Like some people like to kneel when they pray. That's fine. If you got bad knees though, that's probably not a great idea. You're going to be in pain all the time. And you're really not going to be praying except, God, this is excruciating, right? Like, there's no reason to do that. So you need to find a comfortable chair, a comfortable posture, a comfortable space, whatever that looks like, get comfortable. Next thing is get going. Get going. Actually begin to pray. Talk to God about whatever is on your mind. Just do it. Just start talking. Here's the thing. When I'm around other people, I like to close my eyes and pray because it kind of blocks out some distractions. But if you're actually by yourself, you don't have to close your eyes, because I find out when I'm by myself and I close my eyes, then my mind really starts to wander, right? It's like darkness. Like maybe just you can open your eyes. You can actually talk out loud to God. Did you know that? Like we do it when we pray as a group all the time, but for some reason when we're by ourselves, I know it looks crazy if someone walks in the room with you and you're having this conversation, but it's okay. I'm talking to God, right? So it's okay, but get going. Just start talking to God about whatever is on your mind. And if your mind starts to wander, talk about God where your mind's wandering. If it's wandering towards the bills, talk about the bills. If it's wandering towards your schedule, talk about your schedule with God. Whatever it is, just start talking about them. Start. Tomorrow is the day to begin this. Tomorrow morning. Not next week, not next month, not as a New Year's resolution for 2020, but tomorrow is the day to begin. Get going. And here's the last step. We got them all up there. Get alone, get up. No. Get alone, get to bed, get up, get awake, get a quiet place, get comfortable, get going, and finally keep going. Don't stop praying. Pray on a regular basis. Pray for new things and pray for the same things over and over and over again. This is pretty easy. Like this, to me, this is super practical, right? It's not that difficult. It may be something that you don't always think about. I mean, I've been praying for years and years and years. I don't always think about this. A lot of stuff I've already known, but I just forget. So maybe for some of you, it's the first time you've heard it, and that's fine. That's okay. That's what we're talking about. That's super practical. But I kind of want to hone in about this last point for a second, to keep going. I just want to talk about that for a little bit. Persistence in our prayers and having faith are very closely related. In fact, Jesus addresses this specifically. Now we're coming to Luke 18. Starting in verse 1. If you have your Bibles, Luke 18, starting in verse 1. Now he told them a parable. This is Jesus. Now he told them a parable on the need for them to pray always and not give up. Persistence. There was a judge in a certain town who didn't fear God or respect people. And a widow in that town kept coming to him saying, "Give me justice against my adversary." For a while he was unwilling, but later he said to himself, "Even though I don't fear God or respect people, yet because this widow keeps pestering me, I will give her justice so that she doesn't wear me out by her persistent coming." Then the Lord said, "Listen to what the unjust judge says. Will not God grant justice to his elect who cry out to him day and night? Will he delay helping them? I tell you that he will swiftly grant them justice. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth?" So I just want to just kind of hone in and unpack this quickly, because I know I've already gone through a lot, taking up a lot of time, but just quickly unpack this a little bit. 2 weeks ago, we talked about how to pray and being helpless before God. In other words, admitting that we need God's help. Even Jesus, when he was on earth, went to God because he wanted to know what the Father was doing, and he only did what the Father showed him to do. That's Jesus' words, not mine. And so Jesus went to the Father for help, went to God for help. So I just want to point out that this woman comes to the judge the way we should come to God in prayer. She recognized that she didn't have the power to lawfully bring about justice for herself. The justice that she felt she deserved, she had to go to someone else to deliver that justice for her. She was helpless and powerless to get what she needs. And that's how we need to come to God. We come to Him because we don't have the power to bring about the justice or the answer to the prayers that we want answered in our life. Only God has that power. And so Jesus told this story to His followers so that they would keep praying and keep praying and keep praying and not give up. The woman came to the judge over and over again. She didn't stop. And if you've been around kids or if you have kids, you know that this is exactly the way they are, right? Like, if you don't tell your kid you're going to do something unless you fully plan on doing it. Because like we have a rule in our house, we all give our kids like so much heads up. Because if it's too far out, they ask us every day, every week about, when are we going to do this? When's this happening? They ask all the details. What? I'm like, just stop. Right? Like, they won't let it go. And so that's the way this woman is, man. She's coming to the judge over and over again. And Jesus said, He told this story so we would know. Keep coming to God over and over and over again. Except the difference is, we're not a pest to God. We're sons and daughters of the Most High God because of what Jesus has done for us on the cross.
Amen.
And so He doesn't look at us and say, oh man, they're pestering me, they won't leave me alone. He says, man, my son and my daughter, they need my help, and I want to give it to them. And so we're not pestering God. And Jesus even asks a peculiar question at the end of the story. Verse 8, it says, nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, will He find faith on earth? In other words, I think what He's saying is, will anyone still be praying? Will there be anyone left who believes that God will hear our prayers and that He'll actually answer our prayers? Because you see, persistence requires faith. Why would this woman keep coming to the judge if she didn't believe that He could take care of the issue? That would be a complete waste of her time. But she knew that the judge had the power and the authority to give her justice, to give her the answer that she needed to her petition. And Jesus points us to the judge. He says, look at this joker. He doesn't care about anyone but himself, but eventually he does the right thing. How much more can we expect God to hear and answer our prayers? Because God is a good God. God is a just God, and God does care about you. So how much more will He hear and answer our prayers? When you see this, the prayer of faith believes that God can do anything. The prayer of faith believes that God can do anything. Mark chapter 9, verses 23 through 24. We looked at this 2 weeks ago when we were talking about helplessness. Jesus said to him, this is a father who brought his sick son to Jesus and his disciples to be healed. And the guy said, I just set up for you, the guy said, if you can help my son, have compassion on us. And this is Jesus' response. Jesus said to him, if you can, everything is possible for the one who believes. Does that say some things are possible? Does it say maybe it's possible? No, it says everything is possible for the one who believes. Immediately the father of the boy cried out, I do believe, help my unbelief.